In the first scroll we said,
watch this video with me.
Christmas was never Yahuah's idea, it was Rome's. Now we are going to show you what that really means. To understand Christmas, you cannot start with a manger. You have to start with Rome, with sun gods, and with a festival called Saturnalia. In the days after Yahushua walked the earth, the Roman Empire was filled with worship of false mighty ones. There was Saturn, the old god of sowing and time, often pictured devouring his own children. There was Mithras, the Persian sun deity honored by soldiers, whose followers met in caves and bathed in the blood of sacrificed bulls. There was Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, a title for the imperial sun god who represented power, victory, and empire. Every winter, when the days were shortest, Rome held wild celebrations to honor these deities and to call back the sun. The most famous of these was Saturnalia. Saturnalia began on the 14th or 17th day of the month they called December, and could continue for a week or more. The normal order of society was overturned. Slaves were allowed to insult their masters. Masters served their slaves at feasts. People wore costumes and strange hats. Drinking, gambling, and open immorality were expected. Law and restraint were suspended in the name of festivity. Historical writers describe streets filled with noise, homes overflowing with food and wine, and gifts exchanged as part of the ritual. Candles were lit for Saturn, symbolizing the returning light of the sun. This was not a holy convocation. It was a festival of excess and spiritual darkness. At the same time, another winter observance took shape. The Emperor Aurelian declared the 25th day of December a public holy day in honor of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. Temples were dedicated, races were held, and the empire was called to honor the rising power of the sun deity. So when you hear the date, December 25, understand that it was chosen long before anyone attached the name of Mashiach to it. It was the high point of sun worship in Rome. Yahuah had already spoken about this kind of worship. In Yechezkel chapter 8, he shows the prophet men standing in his own house with their backs toward the temple and their faces toward the east, worshipping the sun. He calls this a great abomination. In Yirmiyahu 10 verse 2, he says, "Learn not the way of the nations." The ways he is speaking of include exactly this kind of seasonal, sky-focused worship. Now move forward to the 4th century. Rome has mixed imperial politics with a form of belief in Mashiach. Many people still cling to their old festivals. Instead of calling them away from paganism, church leaders begin to wrap the name of Mashiach around the customs of the empire. Several early sources describe a growing practice of honoring what they called the birth of Christ on the same date that had belonged to the sun god, the 25th of December. Some later writers connect this move to a bishop of Rome named Julius. Whether every detail of that tradition is exact or not, the result is very clear. The empire took the day of the sun god, attached the title Christ to it, and expected people to come under this new blended celebration. In other words, they did not cleanse the altar. They renamed it. They did not destroy the festival of the sun. They baptized it in words that sounded holy. Shaul warns in Romeum chapter 1 that humanity changed the esteem of the incorruptible Yahuah into images and corruptible things, and served the created rather than the creator. That is exactly what Rome had done for centuries, and now it simply pulled that pattern into a system that claimed to follow Mashiach. When later generations were born into this mixture, they no longer saw Saturn or Mithras or Sol Invictus. They only saw a date, decorations, and family ritual. The roots disappeared from view. However, the root of a tree does not disappear because a new name is painted on the trunk. Yahuah does not forget origins. He does not accept worship that is built on the foundation of other mighty ones. Devarim 12 verse 30 tells us not to ask, "How did these nations serve their gods, so that I may do the same for Yahuah?" He says, "You shall not do so unto Yahuah your Yahuah." The reason this matters is simple. If the remnant continues to keep the days that were carved out for sun gods and empire, even with new language and new songs, we stand on ground Yahuah never asked us to stand on. The world decorated the festival of the sun and gave it a new title. Yahuah calls his people to something very different. He calls us out of the ways of the nations, into the appointed times that he himself set apart, where no other mighty one shares his esteem. Visit our website for more information. Like, follow, and share for more truth.
Family, the truth is freedom from all lies. You have not heard Christmas, Easter, New Year, and all this pagan celebration was never instructed from our Creator. So when you celebrate them, you are totally giving honor to Satan ignorantly. My brothers and sisters, if you are a believer in Yahuah and Yahushua, and you have not have the true Hebrew scripture that bear the true name of our Creator, Yahuah and Yahushua, please, if you are watching from TikTok, DM me. If you are watching from Facebook, the link in the comment section. If you are watching from YouTube, the link on bio. My brothers and sisters, we have to wake up. We have been deceived by the name Jesus, by all the Christianity celebration. The true celebration is Shabbat, Passover, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Thank you. If you are a new believer in Yahuah and Yahushua, and you are looking for a place that you can gather together and worship, click the link in the comment section and join our spiritual counseling WhatsApp group. If you are a criminal, don't join because you'll be exposed. Thank you.